Hi everybody, I am so glad that you have traveled through Italy with me. And today we are going to have a holiday celebration. We are going to do two recipes that are traditional for an Italian Christmas. We're going to do a lasagna alla bolognese and we are going to do panettone. Stay tuned. So we're doing some holiday traditional foods, and we are going to start with one that comes from Emilia-Romagna region of Italy. We are going to do a classic lasagna. So a lasagna alla bolognese, and this is not what we're typically used to making in America. We're not going to use ricotta cheese or cottage cheese. We're going to make a bechamel sauce for our white sauce. So I'm excited to share this with you. We're going to go over to the stove and get started. We have three parts today. We have the bechamel, we have to cook off the noodles, and we have to make the bolognese before we layer it. So we have three parts to this recipe. First, we're going to cook off our pasta and get that ready for our layering. Next, we'll make the bechamel, and then we'll make our bolognese, which are going to construct our layers of lasagna. So I've got water boiling, salted like the sea. And I'm using fresh pasta sheets, so this won't take very long. We'll throw a couple in there. And a great way to know when fresh pasta is done, especially like a pasta sheet or ravioli like this, is they'll float to the top. So I'm gonna do 3. And then I've got a bowl of ice water here. So when we pull this out, we're gonna dump it in the cold water to stop it from continuing to cook, because remember, it's going to cook additionally once we put this in the oven, so we don't want mushy pasta that falls apart. So fresh pasta takes, you know, a few minutes. It's not very long, and I think this is actually almost ready. Like, it's super quick. And into the cold water. Use the same method when you cook vegetables and you want to stop them from cooking. It's basically like blanching and shocking. So we're shocking the pasta to stop cooking. All right, that's gonna sit until we get ready to layer our lasagna dish. Now we can make our bechamel. So in this pan, I'm going to add equal parts butter and flour to make our paste that's going to thicken the sauce. So about 4 tablespoons of butter and about 4 tablespoons of flour. But no matter, if you did 1/3 of a cup, you do 1/3 of a cup. If you do 1/4 cup, you do 1/4 cup. It just needs to match. And that butter is gonna melt. We'll get that mixed together and we'll add some milk. And we'll have a nice creamy white sauce to layer our lasagna. And then next we're going to move on to the bolognese. So let's finish off our bechamel by adding our milk to our thickened flour and butter. And whisk that up. We don't want kind of lumps in that. We want it to be a smooth, creamy, thick white sauce. I'm going to turn up the heat. It'll thicken a little bit quicker. And with milk scalds very quickly, so watch your heat. I'm turning it up so it thickens faster, but I don't want to scald the milk. Nobody wants burnt milk in their lasagna. Okay, let's move on to the bolognese sauce. Okay, so on to the 3rd step of our recipe. Let's make the bolognese. So I'm starting with the Holy Trinity: carrots, onions, and celery. And we want to make sure these soften and get translucent. Have your heat on like a medium-high for this, and just let them cook till they're softened. Then we're gonna add ground beef and pancetta. This is gonna add a really unique flavor to the bolognese. You know, and in Italy, when they celebrate the holidays, it's just like America. Everybody has their own family tradition. So what you see at one person's holiday feast, you may see something different at another family's house. So I picked two pretty traditional classic recipes to share with you today. But certainly you can make your holiday celebration your own with your own recipes. Okay, ground beef, pancetta, and I like to, you know, kind of break up my ground beef as it's cooking. If you let it start to brown before it's really broken up, you'll get big chunks. And of course, for a lasagna, since we're doing nice, small, thin layers, you don't want it to be all like wonky and have like a big chunk, a little chunk, and then your like lasagna noodles are all crooked. So I really want to make sure that this ground beef is broken up. This is just going to take a minute to brown, and then we will add our herbs and we'll add our tomato paste and beef stock, which is also going to add flavor to it. Our meat has been browned. I actually drained off the fat because we don't really want a greasy sauce. And I'm gonna season this with a little salt and pepper. So this particular recipe is actually one of the most ancient recipes on record in Italy. We're gonna add beef stock, tomato paste to thicken it, and if I were sticking to tradition, I would leave it just like this, but I'm gonna make it Jennifer's. So we're gonna add a little bit of basil, just a little added flavor, and some parsley. And mix that together till you have a nice thick sauce. And we're gonna go and layer our pasta to get it ready for the oven. Okay, for our final step before we can put this in the oven is we're gonna create our layers. So we'll take some of our bolognese sauce and put that in the bottom. And then we will take a pasta sheet, so just enough to coat the bottom. We will take a pasta sheet, lay that down, and it fits perfect in my little dish. Let's take some bechamel. Yeah, beautiful, perfectly thickened. Spread that over the pasta sheet. And you don't have to be perfect. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, but as long as it's coating the noodles, the liquid from the bechamel and the liquid from the bolognese will help to also cook the noodles a little bit further. And then let's take some Parmesan, and then we're gonna repeat the layers. And depending on how thick your pan is, you could do 2 layers, you could do 3 layers. So, more bolognese. I think I want to just take a spoon and just eat this by itself. And another layer of pasta. Another layer of bechamel. And clearly, guys, I have shown you that I am not the neatest person in the kitchen. I do try to keep my kitchen clean, though. I clean up as I go. Some more Parmesan. So in southern France, I forgot where we are. We're in Italy. In southern Italy, they do use more Parmesan than they do Pecorino. Let's put that final layer of noodles on and then top it with more Parmesan. And it is ready to go in the oven, 375 for 45 minutes. For our second holiday recipe, we are gonna make panettone. It is the most famous Christmas sweetbread. So here goes Jennifer baking again. We are going to start by creaming our butter and sugar. So I've got my mixing bowl. We'll get it a paddle attachment this time. We'll add our butter. Oh, it'd help if I get this attached. We don't want that spinning around and flying off. Let me snap it in. All right, there we go. Let's put the butter in. And the sugar, we're gonna cream that together first, light and fluffy. Making sure that this is fluffy helps the texture of the bread. Let's raise this up. We'll get that cream together. Once that's mixed, we'll add 1 egg at a time. And then we'll include our wet ingredients. So, 1, let it incorporate. 2, 3. 4th one. And as this is mixing, it's okay to stop it and scrape down the sides if you need to. Let's get that scraped. That back on. And now I want to add milk. And this recipe, there's a couple ways you can make it. There is a very long process where you would start at 6 o'clock in the morning and you would make a yeast mother dough, and then you would make a second yeast dough and then a third yeast dough. And by the time it's 10 o'clock at night, then you're ready to actually put your bread together. This is actually a quick bread recipe, so saves time. It's still gonna taste just as good. It's still gonna be that holiday treat. Let's add in some lemon zest and some orange zest. I'm gonna stop that. I like to use the paddle to actually scrape off my spatula. There we go. Get that in there. Get that mixed. And then vanilla. I use vanilla paste. Vanilla paste and vanilla extract can be used interchangeably. I just love the way this tastes. And no, I don't measure my vanilla because I just feel like you can never add too much vanilla. Okay, while this is blending, let's put our dry ingredients together. So we've got bread flour. In some regions of Italy, they actually put almonds in this. So panettone, depending on what area of Italy you're in, use different things. I believe in the South they use almonds, so instead we're gonna use almond flour to give it that flavor. I've got baking powder and some salt. And we'll mix that together so it's all combined. And then my favorite part, let's see if I can not get flour on my outfit. We're gonna start to add the flour into our wet mixture. I always joke when I'm baking because I get flour everywhere. Flour's in. I spilled a little. I know you can throw like salt over your shoulder for good luck. Can you do the same thing with flour? And we've got a beautiful dough. Now, panettone is a sweet bread, but it also has candied fruit in it. So I've got some candied fruit, some figs, some plums, some raisins, and that's come together. Let's get it in our mold so we can get it in the oven. So we're ready to take our dough and put it in our baking dish. You can use a bread pan, you can use a bundt pan, you can use one for angel food cake. We're gonna make mini ones. Because I'm using silicone, I'm gonna grease it before I put the batter in. If you're using metal, you would want to actually grease and flour it before you put your batter in. It's gonna go in the oven for an hour at 350 degrees. Our lasagna came out of the oven. It's nice and hot. I'm ready to plate this. So, since I did a smaller version, I think we'll do it in fours. Let's get it cut. That Parmesan's nice and crisp. All right. Get through all those layers. Look at how luscious that looks, oh my gosh. So ready to have our lasagna. I am really excited to eat our entree. Our panettone has come out of the oven. Let's bring that over so we can have dessert after we have our entree. I hope you enjoyed our celebration of food today as we cooked some holiday recipes. We did the panettone, we did the lasagna alla bolognese. And if you'd like those recipes or more, you can go to jenniferbasil.com.